Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today I'm here to talk about Companion. I just saw it last night. It was both Regal and AMC's mystery movie, but it's a movie that I've been anticipating for a long time, ever since I saw the first teaser last year, that just kind of looked like this is insane and it's got something to say. I will give you fair warning. I am going to keep this as spoiler free as I can. This is the type of movie that you can't talk that much about it without spoiling it. I'm gonna get into, like, what the second trailer gives away, even though I think it gives away way too much. So my biggest recommendation would be to just not watch the trailers. Don't even watch this until you've seen it, and then come back. You better come back. But I probably will end up doing a much more detailed spoiler video down the road. So let's get into Companion.
There was just a spark.
Following up his I mean, is it too early to call it a masterpiece? I'm gonna call it a masterpiece. His 2022 masterpiece, Barbarian, Zach Kreger, was initially going to direct Companion, but it wound up being the directorial debut of Drew Hancock, who also wrote the screenplay, with Kreger acting just as a producer and being very involved. And much like Barbarian, Companion is the type of movie that there's like a twist per act. Like the end of the first act, there's a twist and it kind of subverts, where you think the movie's going. And then later on, it kind of does the same thing. So I'm going to get into I have to spoil the first act twist, the fact that this movie is about a companion robot or a emotionally support robot that you occasionally do things with, as opposed to, well, what everyone else is thinking. It's a weekend getaway. You have Iris, played by Sophie Thatcher, whom I last saw in Heretic. Really good movie. She's our lead. She is our companion bot who is taken on this weekend getaway by her boyfriend, played by Jack Quaid. Things kind of go terribly wrong, and hilarious, bloody, brutal, insane hijinks ensue. And that's all I can really talk about plot wise without spoiling it. Again, I cannot urge you enough, go see this movie and go in blind. But what I can tell you about this movie is it's really like it takes real life issues and kind of runs with them into absurdist horror comedy territory. Things like the loneliness epidemic in the digital age, things like love and intimacy and inadequacies that we feel, and the struggles of finding the perfect partner, and with a dash of fragile masculinity. This is a guy that, again, I'm not spoiling anything the trailer doesn't give away. He keeps his companion bot's intelligence level set very low because he can't stand the idea that she could be smarter than him. That makes him feel weak and inferior. So it explores all these issues and these ideas, but in this absurdist, sci-fi dark comedy thriller. I hesitate to even really call it horror, and there's probably going to be some discourse online about this. Oh, Companion's not really a horror movie. I mean, it has kills, it has some gory kills, it has horror like scenes. There's a sequence that kind of feels like it's straight out of Terminator, but I would primarily call it a sci-fi, very dark comedy thriller. But again, I think that's what the genre does so well, is, it's dystopia in a way, but dystopia has always been less about, what the future could hold and more about holding up a funhouse mirror to the present. And I think Companion does a really, really good job of that. I also think, again, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but it does a really interesting subversion, is what I'll say, of 9 times out of 10 the AI, like, is the villain in movies, whether we're talking Terminator, whether we're talking The Matrix, whether we're talking Megan, whether we're talking any number of, sci-fi horror movies about robots that become hyper intelligent. Here we have that, but we kind of see that it's not necessarily that AI itself is the problem, it's the way humans use AI, and that anything, I mean, AI is a tool,
and
and that AI is only a problem if we humans mishandle it. And unfortunately, we humans have a very bad track record of always doing the worst thing possible. Exhibit A, world history. So it's really entertaining. It's really funny. I don't want to, understate how funny it is. And it's a weird, like, anti Valentine's Day movie, which is why I think they're releasing it at the end of January. Um, that's really all I can say without spoiling it. I really enjoyed it. It's really fun. It's one of those things that you can't think about the logic of it too much. You can't think about the logistics of this companion bot and all the things that that would entail, and the logistics of like how this company works and how it works with, legality. Like, you kind of just have to suspend your disbelief that, like, this is an alternate world where this exists. It's the not too distant future. And you kind of just have to sit back and say, I'm along for this ride the story's taking me on. Because the longer you do think about the logic, the more nitpicky you get. And the more you realize, well, actually, none of this makes sense. But it's not supposed to make sense. It's not trying to make sense. It's not trying to be a documentary. It's trying to be a very dark sci fi comedy thriller. But hey, these are just my thoughts. Let me know, were you at the mystery movie at either Regal or AMC? What did you think of Companion? Um, you know, what do you hope to see in, what issues do you want me to talk about in my spoiler video about it? Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up having an existential crisis when you find out that you're a robot. And as always, every day is Halloween.